All right, guys, it's Gabby here, and I know it's been a while, but I have been really busy working on a lot of things behind the scenes. So as you know, my former podcast was called Gab a Lot because I gab a lot, and I had a lot of different topics going on. Most of it kind of ended up falling in the dating category. So it's just, I'm transitioning, and I call this my rebirth year because I finally feel like I am at a point in my life where I am making big changes. Not like I haven't always made big changes, but this is like the year that I've really truly found myself, my people, and my purpose. So over the past year, I had a lot happen. Good things, bad things, all in between. But I am focusing on rebranding. So not just for the salon, but just for me in general. So Gavali is my first and my last name put together, which is Gabriella Travali. So Gavali originally was called Gavali's Beauty Suite because when I first started my LLC, I was actually going to be the first person in Connecticut to open up salon suites. And that was back in 2012. And then things happened, and I had a couple of bad people in my life that made things turn left. So I had to hold off on my business plan. And then in 2014, it was like literally on New Year's Day, I was talking to one of my friends. She told me, "Hey, did you hear about the new salon suites that opened up in Fairfield?" And I said, "What? They opened up salon suites?" And she was like, "Yeah." And I was like, I called them like that day, left a message. They called me the next day, and then I went in for an interview, and they gave me a tour. I think there was like 23 suites at the time, and there was only one person that was renting them out. So I went in, I was like, I'm gonna take one. And she was like, "All right, well, this is what you have to do." I already had my LLC, which was Gavali's Beauty Suite. So I didn't even have to create one because I already had it. And it was just like worked out perfectly. And it was a really scary thing for me to do because I was a single mom of 3, and I was taking a major chance. And my family, it's not that they didn't believe in me. I think that they did, but it's scary when you're young and you're opening up a new business. So I did it, and it was so exciting, so stressful. And then I got so busy to the point where a year later I had to expand. So I ended up finding my salon on Black Rock Turnpike. When I was at the nail salon across the street, I was leaving and I saw the building and it said for lease. So I think this is a cool story. So I'm gonna share it with you. I called the number, and the guy was like, "Oh, you know, the place is a mess. It looks nice on the outside, but it needs to be completely redone." And I was like, "All right." And I was like, "So it's gonna cost a lot?" And he's like, "Yeah." So I was like, "All right." I was like, I'll call you back." I was like, "There's no way I'm gonna be able to afford this. This is just too much for me." And I went home, I left the number on my dresser, and then I went about my life. A couple weeks later, I went to a psychic, and she did like a reading for me, and she said stuff, so, "Oh, if you want to change, like you need to clear out your room, you need to do this, this, and this." She goes, "I feel like I see you on a main road, in a bigger space." And she like basically like said everything. So I was like, "Oh, okay, all right." And then I ended up going home, and I literally got rid of all the junk in my room. I got all new bedding, and I was clearing everything out. And I found the paper, and I looked at the paper. It said the guy's name on it for this location. I ripped it up and I threw it away, and I go, what's meant to be will be. The next day, he called me, and he goes, "Hey, I just wanted to follow up and see if you were still interested in the space because we're willing to work with you. We think that a salon would be a great addition to the complex." And I said, "Are you serious?" And I was like, "Okay." So I went in. I talked to them. They were willing to do the build out, but I still needed to like pay for the furniture and the contractors and stuff. So I had to make some phone calls. I used pretty much mainly credit cards, and I like took a loan from a friend. And thank God for her. She guided me through everything. She had experience with business before, and she used to be a paralegal, so she like helped me out. I had no idea what I was doing. I would have signed my life away if it wasn't for her. And that's how Gavali Salon was created. And it was an amazing space. I loved it so much. Totally different world that we live in now, because back then, life was so much more simple, or at least I thought it was. But there was still pros and cons. Like, I didn't have a washing machine, so I had to lug bags of laundry home every night after work. And back then I was a serious workaholic. Sorry for my dog. I was a serious workaholic, so I was working really late. And I lived in an apartment complex, and you weren't allowed to do laundry after 10. So like, I was getting like complaints about me doing laundry all night long, but I had to do it. So I was like, through the snow, I remember like just dragging these bags in, like crying, like trying to carry the kids at the same time. Like, everything was really stressful, but it was all worth it, because, you know, I was building something. But it was tough, you know, being a single mom, like I feel like I missed out on a lot between the kids, and like being there, being more present, because I was working all the time. And I didn't really know what else to do. I didn't want to be a failure. I wanted to prove to people that I can like do it, and I was passionate about it. And I wanted to make my kids happy. I wanted to have a house so that they could live in a nice town and go to school and have a backyard and have their own rooms, because like I lived in an apartment my whole life. Not that that was a bad thing, but you know, I wanted to do something better for them. So I've moved probably like, I think between like 18 and 20 times. I can't even tell you off the top of my head. It's been a lot. So every time I would move, it would be to a bigger, better place. And then when I met my ex-husband, about 2 years after we were dating, we ended up buying our first house together, because I was actually pregnant, and I had a miscarriage like the day that we were doing the inspection. And I didn't want to back out, because I was like, well, we're already here. So I ended up like, we still went for it, and we loved that house. It was a really great house. Pepe. But so we ended up staying with the house. We got married. Everything was different back then. Like, I feel like we did a lot of family things together. We went camping a lot. We went on vacations. We were always bringing the kids out somewhere, doing something adventurous. But then like when COVID happened, everything like kind of turned. Like, there was like pros and cons. Like, actually I have to rewind, because there's more to the story than that. So when I was pregnant that time, before I ended up getting the house, I was actually looking at a space in Westport. It was a salon, and I thought that the location was awesome, but I hated the parking. And the inside of the space was beautiful, but it was like double of what I was paying, and I was so nervous. I was like, I don't know if I can do it. I was like, there's just, something didn't feel 100%. And like, when I don't feel like something's 100%, I just can't do it. Like, I have to go with my gut. That's just how I am. So it was actually crazy, because then that was right before, when I found out I was pregnant, I said, I can't do this, because I'm gonna have a baby. There's no way I'm gonna be able to handle this salon with a new baby, like a newborn. So that's right before we ended up getting the house. I said, I'd rather get a house than open a new business right now. That's more important to me. So then when we got the house, like the day of the inspection is when I had the miscarriage. We ended up going through with it. That was 2017. We ended up getting married in 2018. And then literally right after I got married, I got a phone call from my realtor. He's like, I found a space for you. I think you're really gonna love it. And I said, really? And he's like, yeah, you gotta check it out. I had no idea this place even existed, because like whenever I'd go to the brick walk, I would never go to the back of the brick walk. I would always just go to like Malto, or like Sinclair was new. There was another restaurant there prior to that, but they had just like opened up. So I go into the space and I was like, oh my God, this is it. Like, it was like a karate studio, but it was like all big windows and the lighting was perfect. And like, even though it was a mess in there, I have this thing about me where like I have a vision, like I can see a space and I can like plan it out in my head of like what's gonna go where, what I'm gonna do. And I said, I looked at it and I said, I need this to be like a greenhouse. So that's where I got the idea of like everything that's in there now. But we ended up doing the build out, and like, you know, there's things that I wanted to happen that couldn't happen because we're actually above a parking garage. So like the layout wasn't exactly how I wanted it to be, but we did what we did. Maybe in a couple of years I'll redo the whole thing, but we did a little revamp back in February. So when all the work was done, we actually opened February 24th of 2020. And I was like, this is amazing. Everybody was so happy. And like, I was gonna keep the other salon. I was gonna have both of them. So I still had that one. We weren't working there, but I still had it because I was just gonna restructure. I was just going with the flow. Life was good. Everything was really good. And then March 6th, I found out I was pregnant with my daughter. And I was like, oh my God. Oh my God. I remember like taking the test at the salon in the morning, and I looked at the test, it was positive, and I texted my husband, I go, I'm fucking pregnant, don't tell anyone. And then 2 seconds later, he like walks in with his brother, and he was so happy, and I was like, oh my God, I was like, what am I gonna do? What am I gonna do? This is crazy. So then, that was March 6th. The following week, everybody's like, I can't come to work today. My mom told me I can't come to work. And we're like, what do you mean your mom told you can't come to work? Like, what are you talking about? They're like, there's a pandemic. Like, I don't watch the news, so I don't know anything at this point. And back then, I wasn't really on social media a lot. It was really just to post hair pictures. So I was like, what's everybody talking about? And I was so sick. And I just remember being like so ill. I didn't know what was wrong with me. I'm like coughing. I had such a bad headache. I felt like my eyes were getting like pulled to the back of my head by magnets. And like, I never call out of work for being sick, ever. And like, people that know me, like, know how much of a workaholic I am. So I was like, I looked at my receptionist and I said, Mary, I was like, you have to cancel my appointments. She goes, you must really not be feeling well. And I was like, I don't feel good. So I go to the doctor, but like, I'm pregnant. So I'm like, maybe it's because I'm like pregnant. And then I tell them, I'm like, you know, it's just so weird because I can't smell or taste anything. Like, I've never had a pregnancy where I can't smell or taste anything. They're like, yeah, that's so weird. Like, this wasn't even like a known symptom at the time. So then a week later, the whole world shuts down. I'm going nuts because I'm like, oh my God, I'm pregnant. I have 3 kids at home. I'm supporting the whole family right now. Like, I can't work. What am I gonna do? And I have 2 leases, the mortgage, everything. And I was like, what am I gonna do? I had no idea. But the good thing is that we had to stay home. Like, we didn't have a choice. Like, everything was shut down. And they were like lenient back then with like things in the beginning because everybody was kind of going through it. But that was like the closest that I think I ever was with my kids and my ex-husband, because we were with each other 24/7 for 3 months straight. I went from working every single day, like every single day from 18. Every time I would have a baby, I'd go back to work 2 weeks later, even after having a C-section, because I didn't have like savings. So I had to go to work and I didn't want to live off the state. So, you know, it was hard. It wasn't easy. But it was so nice sitting at home. And I was like, I can do this. I could be a stay-at-home mom. And then I shortly realized after that I couldn't. But, you know, it's crazy. Like, I did have COVID and I was pregnant and I was early on, and there was no test at that point. So like, they found out I had it by an antibody test that came out, I think it was like April 22nd. And we were supposed to open the salon, like reopen it, but like we couldn't because they kept pushing it off. I don't think we opened till like May. I ended up getting the PPP loan, the disaster loan. I ended up paying the PPP loan back, even though if we were open and generating business, that would have been a different story, but we weren't. And like, the only income that I had was me dropping off color kits to people's houses because like, I didn't know what else to do. So I was like selling my hair products and dropping off hair color kits, and people were asking me to do hair on the side. And at first I said no. At the end I was like, come over. I need money. But like in the beginning I was like, no, I'm enjoying my time. I'm pregnant. I'm relaxing. Like, I got like a little like spoiled of that, but then I was like, all right, no, it's time to go back to work. So when we reopened, everything was slamming. I mean, we had to use like every other station, but we were busy because people were like, I gotta get my hair done, We had these like barriers. We were wearing like, it looked like I had like a welding mask on, like a helmet. I looked like I was like gonna go to war. That's like what I looked like at work. So I'm like, can't breathe. I got this mask on my face. I'm pregnant. But I'm like ready to go. So, and we did it. And we had like probably the best 2 years of my hairdressing career was like right after COVID. And then 2022, I wanted to expand. And I was talking to one of my, she was working with me at the time. She was one of my best friends. And then we ended up opening up another salon. And it was good, it was great. But at the same time, I wasn't like focusing on my main salon, which was like my baby essentially. And I feel like there was like a lot of things that happened, a lot of changes, good and bad. But the day that we opened up that salon was the day I had to go and get, I had to go in for an appointment for my boobs because I had my boobs done in the middle of my divorce. We missed that part because that was somewhere between 2020 and 2022. And I had a mommy makeover, 4 kids. You gotta do what you gotta do. So I had complications and it wasn't like I wasn't looking right. So I was like, you gotta fix this. So I went to the doctor and he's like, all right, we'll do the surgery on March 1st. That was my pre-op appointment, was the day that we opened up the salon. So I was like, oh, it'll be quick. I'll be quick. So I go and I'm like, yeah, there's this lump. It's so weird. I'm like, it's gotta be from the implant. He's like, no, that doesn't feel right. He's like, you gotta get that checked out. So then what do you mean I get it? He goes, immediately. So then I'm like, shit, gotta cancel my appointments for tomorrow, which was I was gonna be working at the new salon, so I was all pumped. And I go to the doctor. They told me I had to go through mammograms, ultrasounds, whatever. They're like, you're fine, everything's fine. I'm like, all right. They did one biopsy, but not even on the lump. They did it on the calcifications that I had on the other side. They cleared me for surgery. They did not do a biopsy of the lump. I ended up having the surgery on March 1st. I wake up from the surgery. The doctor goes, the plastic surgeon, he goes, you need to have an MRI like that. There's no way that is just dense tissue like they said. So I'm like, great. But I had to wait because I had just had surgery. So you can't have an MRI right after you have surgery. So then I waited. I went for the MRI and I thought everything was gonna be fine. And then they were like, no, you gotta get a biopsy. I was like, okay, great. So then I'm getting the biopsy. And the doctor that I had gone to that told me that I was fine, he didn't want to see me. He rushed through it, whatever. I'm like waiting for these results. He finally calls me back like a week later. He's like, yeah, we're just gonna do a lumpectomy. You're gonna be fine. I'm like, what? I just had surgery. Like if you did the biopsy before that, I could have had it taken out then. So then I was like, whatever. I don't even want to go back to this guy. So I went to somebody else. I go to this doctor. She's like, with the Norma Freem Breast Center, she's like, this is the most complex case I've ever seen. I don't know what this is. That's what she said. She's like, never seen anything like this before. She goes, I talked about it with the board this morning. She goes, we can't tell if you have cancer or if your cells are mimicking cancer cells. So I'm like, what? My body is pretending like I have cancer? Like, that's weird. So I ended up calling my friend. She's like, absolutely not. You're going to Sloan, whatever. I go to Sloan. They did all the tests. They knew exactly what it was, like right when I went there because of what I described, but they needed imaging done so that they can have the proof that it was what they thought it was so that I could have the surgery. And I had to have 3 MRIs. I had 7 biopsies within like 3 days. And then they were like, don't make any travel plans. You have to have a double mastectomy. And I was like, what? And I was like, all right. And I had just gotten my boobs done a year prior. I got my boobs done June 10th, 2022, and I had my double mastectomy July 13th, 2023. So like, there was just so much chaos going on from like when I got divorced straight through when I had the double mastectomy, but like I was still like living my life and I was like trying to like block everything out. I was taking a lot of edibles. I was kind of like masking my situation between stress of the business, the kids, my divorce, my life, everything. And like in between all of this, I had moved. We had sold our house, the original house. We bought a new one, sold that one when I got divorced. I bought another house. I'm like trying to fix the house up, getting all these surgeries, making sure the kids are okay, which they weren't. Like my son had torn his ACL and his meniscus. Like I found out I had breast cancer. My dog got so sick, I thought he was gonna die. I had to spend all this money to make sure he was gonna live. And it was just a lot. It was just from every end. And I was letting the salon go because I wasn't focused, because I didn't even care. At that point, I just didn't even, I was like, I don't even wanna be here. I wanna leave, I wanna run away. I didn't know what to do. And then last year when I sold my house and I moved into this apartment, some things happened and I like had to go to therapy. I just had to do it, I had to start. And I should have gone to therapy years ago, but it's the best thing that literally has ever happened to me. I went from, being all over the place and not really having like my shit together, even though I thought I had my shit together. I didn't have my priorities completely straight. Even though I made everything that I had to do get done, I wasn't putting myself first. I was literally masking every problem in my life, and I was a workaholic. I was doing that because I was trying to prove myself to everybody else. Like everything that I've done, I unintentionally did it for everyone else but me. And even though I thought I was doing it for me, I wasn't doing it for me. And I'm in like really intense therapy. I do EMDR, I do lens neurofeedback. I've cried it out. I have cried it out. I've gone through a lot more than a lot of people know, a lot more than I talk about, but I'm grateful for everything in my life, and I'm proud of myself. And people that see me on social media, they only know me from like, oh, she's crazy, or like, she's always doing this and she's always doing that, but they don't really know me fully. And a lot of my friends don't even really know me fully because I don't always, I hold a lot of things in. So people who think I'm like not a private person, like really don't know who I am. And it's not easy to do the things that I do, but I do them and I don't want to give up because I want to do things for my kids and for me. And I stopped putting everybody else first. And once I started putting myself first, that's when I started feeling better and not being so insecure about what other people thought about me. I'm not trying to prove things to anybody else except for myself. So when I wake up in the morning and I go to the gym, it's for me. It's because I want to feel good. I want to look in the mirror and I want to see improvements. I take care of my body because I don't want to abuse it like I used to. At one point in my life, I just didn't care. I didn't care about myself at all. And now I had to fix me in order to fix everything else in my life. So, over the years, I put myself in a lot of debt because I had no idea how to manage money. I came from a family of gamblers. My family never really had money. So once I started making money, I didn't know what to do with it. I was taking people on vacations. I was literally spending thousands and thousands of dollars on vacations, on designer bags, on cars, on houses, on food. I would buy people things. I'd be like, oh, you can't afford to come to Miami with me this weekend? I'll pay for you. And I'll even get us a table and I'll drop $10,000. And I did that. Stupid. But at the same time, all of the things that I've done and all these failures that I've had and mistakes that I've made were actually lessons for me. I didn't go to college. So my life experiences were college for me because I'm living a different life path than most people. Not many people have 4 kids by the time they're 30 years old. You know what I mean? Some people don't even have any. I started having kids when I was 18 years old. I dropped out of high school, got my GED, went straight to hair school as soon as I found out I was pregnant. And that's a lie because I found out I was pregnant after I dropped out. But I've seen a lot. I've lived a lot, and this is my rebirth year. And that's why I'm rebranding myself, because I am a different, better version of me. And the salon is a different, better version of what it was. And I'm bringing back my product line. I've been working really, really hard on it. I have been revamping things, adding things in. I'm working on other things on the side. I'm trying to not make the same mistakes that I made in the past. I'm taking all of those failures and I am growing from it. So I also start a new company. It's called Collab with Gab. That's what I think I'm going to be rebranding my podcast to. So it's not going to be talking about relationships and relationships only, because I don't even have time for a relationship right now. And I can't even think about having to deal with someone else other than all the people and things and myself. I have a lot going on. So if anybody wants to date me, there's a lot that comes with me, and not in a bad way. You're just gonna have to learn how to deal with all the things on my schedule, and someone who's constantly working and going to the gym and being with kids and doing all the fun stuff. So putting dating to the side for now, focusing on business, myself, kids, and that's it. So it's gonna be good. I'm really excited for all of the new beginnings, and I don't know. I mean, I think it's going to be great. So part of the collab with Gab, like I was like doing a blow dry one day and I'm like, what am I going to name my new like startup? I'm like, and all of a sudden I was like, collab with Gab, because I like to do things that rhyme and like that are fun. And I was like, wait, that's so perfect. So I was like, that's it, collab with Gab. So what I do is like, I'll meet with people who are new to business, like startup companies. I have one of my friends has a floral company. She needed help with her social media. I can make a reel in 30 seconds. I have a vision for it. I know what I'm doing on the phone. It comes easy to me. A lot of people don't know how to do that stuff. I didn't in the beginning. I always wanted to, like I always had the vision. I'd be like, oh, I want to put this in a video and this and that. I didn't know how to do it, but I taught myself how to do it. And now I'm like, wait a second, why am I paying my videographer to do this when I could do it myself? Love him though, he's great. But I make videos for people, I'll do interviews, I have a very large clientele and connection base. I have a lot of friends, I know a lot of business owners in town and in the tri-state area, so I like to connect people together, and that's part of what Collab with Gab is. It's like a connection circle. It's me helping give advice and mentorship based off of my failures and things that worked for me. I give good insight on all of that. So it's not just me making reels for people. Like I could just do that, but it's so much more in depth than what people think it is. So when you see me posting all over on Instagram, there's purpose to that. It's not just me posting every 5 seconds and living on Instagram, because it's part of my job. And I also am building something. So if you don't follow me, I would appreciate if you give me a follow on my personal page, The Salon, and the Collab with Gab Instagram. And if you're interested in my services, you can send me a message. We can set up a consultation and we'll go over all of the things that I have to offer. But I am super excited and I can't wait to see what happens next.